And our guest today is author Jim Murphy. And I'm really excited to talk about this. We're going to talk today about inner excellence, training your mind for extraordinary performance and the best possible life. Jim, thanks for stopping by. And, what I think about with you is this is the mistake when we go to therapists. This is the mistake when we talk to our friends or different people to kind of vent. We don't understand how our brain thinks is how we are able to accomplish things in life. And if our brain doesn't think we can do it, we'll never be able to do it. Isn't that right, Jim?
So yeah, the book is called Inner Excellence: Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance. However, what's interesting is we have three brains. We have one in our gut, one in our heart, and one in our head. And the most powerful one and important one is the one in your heart. Your heart impacts your brain more than, like, studies show that your heart impacts your brain more than your brain impacts your heart. The one in your head, anyway. And so training your heart is the most important thing you'll ever do. This is your will, your spirit, and everything that you think, say, and do flows from your heart and your subconscious. So that's the key.
The subconscious is nail it, right? How did you get hooked into this stuff with your background and stuff as an athlete and things like that to go ahead and be able to figure this out?
Well, I was obsessed with performance and being a superstar, and so I think that may be common. People that end up doing things like this, they have this obsession that they want to know the answers, and so I was obsessed with being a star. And when I lost it, I felt like I lost everything. And so I ended up going to the desert to live a life of solitude to figure out what I could do with my life, and gave away the majority of my possessions. And when I was there, I decided to become a personal coach to pro baseball players and teach them how to have poise and confidence under pressure. And first two athletes did amazing, so I put together a little manual that I thought was going to take me 2 3 weeks, and instead took 5 years of full time writing and research.
Wow. And once you figured out, so how did you figure out the subconscious? Where do you come from? Because there is a definite people knowing the brain attracts everything. And you could talk law attraction, you could talk many different things in this process, but it's proven because if you start to live like this every day, where your brain really has a lot to do if you're going to accomplish things or not accomplish things, you're like, Eureka, I figured this out. And I'm acting like it's so simple, but our subconscious keeps bringing us back to not thinking that you're not good enough to charge this amount. You're not good enough to be a great husband. You're not good enough to do this, or doubts that you don't deserve this, and all these different things. And when our mind tells us, our subconscious tells us that on a daily basis, we go in our performance and we just can't perform to the level we need to.
That's right. That's why we need inner excellence.
And how do we build inner excellence? Give us a checklist of what people should think about.
Well, it starts with the mindset of inner excellence. Train uh, um, Inner excellence is training your heart, and the mindset is, I compete to raise the level of excellence in my life, to learn and grow in order to raise it in others. So I spent the day with the Navy SEALs as part of my research, and one of the guys told me I never would have made it through Hell Week if it was just for myself. I would have quit long ago. But because we're all part of a team, I couldn't let my teammates down. And that's just more evidence that we're hardwired for love. We're created for relationships. And so inner excellence is about training your heart to love most what's most empowering, and not get caught up in superficial, temporary things.
Yeah, that sounds exactly the temporary thing. So we're going to lose a lot, right? It's not always going to be wins.
Well, inner excellence, we really need to redefine what is winning. So with my clients, we don't talk about winning or results hardly ever. It's well, partly because I'm looking at their scores. I can see how they did. We don't. We're just talking about how to get better every day. It's how can I get better? Especially, we have the three pillars that we're always talking about: belief, freedom, and focus. BFF. But we got five skills with inner excellence, and the five skills are to compete with freedom and passion, to believe in your goals and dreams, to learn how to be fully present, to learn how to control your physiology and relax under pressure, and then to adapt to any situation.
How did you figured it out in the desert? Do you have certain people that you look to when you're thinking about this? Or is this more what you created?
Oh, I didn't really create much of any of it. It was, that. the 5 years of full-time research is where I found it all. 2,000 years of wisdom and people that have shared all this stuff in various other books, and I just kind of compiled it all. I'm just a lowly messenger.
So who are your favorites that you go to?
Well, if we think about coaches, the coaches that have had the biggest impact on my philosophy are actually basketball coaches.
Hmm.
John Wooden, Dean Smith, Phil Jackson. Those are three of the biggest impacts on me for coaching. Writers, Henry Now, and I think he's amazing. I think Malcolm Gladwell is incredibly talented at sharing the human condition. So,
And the heart, how do you define the heart in so many ways?
yeah, the one of the principles or of inner excellence is that you are not your mind. You are so much more than a thinking machine. Your heart is a much more accurate view of who you are. And when I think of heart, I think of your spirit and your will. This is where your greatest fears are, your greatest dreams are, your passions. This is what your heart is, your soul. And so we're much more than thinking machines and people that have results. You're far more than your greatest mistake, and you're far more than your greatest success. These are just temporary things that so much had to happen that was out of your control that made it happen.
Yeah, got it. And how do we start? How do we start to get to your inner excellence?
Well, understand that if I want to get anywhere, I need to master my ego. My greatest need, all of us, it's unconditional love. And so understand that if you're a young person, understand that most everyone you meet, they're gonna be chasing love their whole life, and they're gonna try and get it through symbols of success. Don't be that person, because this is so common, and it's too bad that they get lured into thinking that if I go to New York City and make a lot of money, or then I can really live my dreams. But it's an illusion that if you get a lot of money and you get um, all these circumstances just right, the most comfortable life, that it's going to be the best life for you. In fact, the best possible life has one foot in joy and one foot in suffering. And so that's really important to understand, because most of my life I've pursued comfort and just wanted the easiest life. And that's the great mistake, chasing happiness.
Okay, interesting. So you're saying one foot in joy and one foot in suffering. Explain that.
Yeah. If you want to share in the glory, you need to share in the suffering. That's just how the universe works. I didn't create the universe. If I was God in my limited mind, I would have said, let's go with one foot in joy, one foot in joy. That's what I would have went for. But obviously, thank goodness I'm not God. And the way God created the universe, or at least the way the universe is as it is now, is if you want to get physically stronger, you got to break down the muscles. You can't do it sitting on the couch. You got to break them down. There's no other way to get physically stronger. Same thing for wisdom. You got to go through things, and you got to embrace them and learn and grow through it. If you reject every time you go through adversity, if you resist it every time, you're not going to learn. And then the message is going to keep coming and coming until you learn it. And that's a really frustrating way to live.
For entrepreneurs, I watch and listen to Alex Ramosi, and Alex talks about that every business has a hairy problem, and that problem will change throughout a business or as an entrepreneur. And that's the mistake we think is, okay, once we get there, as you said, we're going to have no worries, no problems. That's never going to be the case.
Yeah, if you want to look at America, the great dream. So many people have talked about what's happened to me since January 12th, and I'm incredibly grateful to be a small part of people's lives in America and around the world now. But you look at the American dream to be rich and famous, which is what I wanted when I was little. Okay, let's go to Hollywood. Let's look at the people that are the richest and the most famous. How many people would trade your inner world, the average person's inner world, for a rich, famous Hollywood person, their inner world? Chances are you might get someone that's addicted to drugs. When you have unlimited amounts of money and fame, then it's really, really dangerous.
And you saw that firsthand in your career, like in different things for sure, running the people and coaching them and stuff.
Yeah, and I've since January 12th, I've had the honor of meeting a whole lot of people, and especially people that are successful in worldly standards, and it's just really confirmed for me that um, it doesn't make them better people. And the when you're rich and famous, the biggest challenge is that it could make you a person that's much more self-centered. And another thing that I really learned was that people that have achieved this sort of success that I always thought, but now I confirmed it, meeting a lot more people, is that it's not because they're super talented or definitely not super smart. It's because they're willing to take risks and to fail and be persistent.
Persistence is so important. And do you think the thing is because we don't want things to be hard? That's why we make our life more harder because we don't want things to be hard. Comfort seeking is a big thing that it sounds like is what causes people to be unhappy with their lives.
Yeah, we need to do hard things if we want to live a great life. Like I said, one foot in suffering. And the main thing to understand is you're hardwired for love. We're created for relationships. It's everything that you're doing um, most likely is to get that love through some sort of achievement or status or looks, and it's a really empty pursuit.
Mhm. And you learn that in the desert too, right? Thinking about
Well,
that.
yeah, I learned a lot in the desert. I got rid of my television and went there to live a life of solitude so I could learn what life had to teach me, and that was a good start for me.
It sounds like it for sure. What do you think is the ultimate message in your book that you want people to learn?
Well, that self-centeredness is the biggest challenge that we face in performance and in life, and that unconditional love is the solution. And if you um, get absorbed into Western culture like I've been, then you're unless you have a clear plan, an intentional plan to be authentic and live a life of sacrificial love, you're going to get swept away into this pursuit of comfort and um, all the possessions, achievements, looks, money, and status, all the symbols of success. You're like, oh, that's what I really want, and you're going to get caught up in the illusion.
So what's new? What's next for Jim? Are you gonna write
We
another
got
book?
a workbook's due to the publisher August 15th. We've got the best possible life, how to live with deep contentment, joy, and confidence no matter what. That is getting republished October 1st. Yeah, great things to come.
All right.
Also,
Best.
one more thing, Neil, we got. I'm signing this book, and I'm doing this book signing in Barnes and Noble tonight in just a couple hours in Philadelphia. But we're gonna Shane Claiborne and I are going to be doing this some amazing work. He's done some amazing work in inner city Philly and Kensington, and I'm going to join him, and we're going to do something great over there.
That's fantastic. You're doing some great things. Fantastic. And any way I can be a help, I'm here for you, Jim. I appreciate it.